Hello, everybody. Baron here. This week, we are doing things a little bit differently. We've split this video into two parts because we've had a guest on. So one will be an interview with the guest, just an interview about them, how they're a storyteller, what they bring to their storytelling. The other part will be our usual format of That Reminds Me Of, getting into a film. This week, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, featuring our special guest, Mike Barry. You've come to the full episode about the film featuring Mike Barry. If you want to hear our interview with Mike about his work, head over to our channel to see the other video. Hi, welcome to That Reminds Me Of, a podcast about film and the films that remind us of that film. You're here with Baron on the dock.
And the maestro.
Do we need another drink?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Baron,
Doc. So good to see you.
How you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very good. Very good.
Feels like it's been a long time.
Well, we did Everything Everywhere All at Once. That came out only just recently.
Days ago, recorded months ago.
Right, there was a gap between. And we're back again to talk about another film, another sort of trippy, wild ride in a similar vein, I guess.
Well, a similar. Let's get straight to it. It's another multiverse film.
It's another multiverse film. That's what it is.
How many can we handle? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But this is another multiverse film.
We actually have a slightly different format.
Well, we've got a guest.
We've got a guest.
Holy Scalito, Batman.
That is right. And the guest is Mike Barry, who has got a new book out that he's illustrated. He's in Melbourne launching this new book. We thought this is the perfect opportunity to have him on the show. So we've invited him to come over. He was stoked to be here, which is great. He didn't say no. And he's going to be on the show with us tonight.
Well, the timing is impeccable because Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is a film that I don't think, frankly, I'm qualified to talk about. Like it's a crazy ride. I'm happy to chat with you. I always love talking to you, but I'd really enjoy talking to someone who has some credibility when it comes to comics and graphic novels and superheroes and that type of stuff.
Let's be honest, we haven't got the best track record when it comes to superhero films. We've tried, but it's not our strong suit necessarily.
We've got a strong background of failing at superhero
that's right.
films.
That's about right. Yeah. So Mike, hopefully, I think he's a superhero fan or a fan of comics and the genre, perhaps. He might be able to add some value. That's what we're hoping anyway.
I think he's a superhero. Forget a superhero buff. He's a superhero.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to this conversation. But first I want to know, like we haven't had one of these chats for a little while.
Yeah.
I've been to the Cook Islands. I've been lapping it up and doing all sorts of crazy things. How have you been?
I went to far north Queensland. Similar stuff. They just call it FNQ, by the way. I discovered. And crocodiles, looking at crocodiles, hearing about crocodiles, not walking anywhere near the water because of my deep embedded fear of being eaten by a crocodile. All of that was playing the whole way through. And also just watching my girls every time they go anywhere near the water and freaking out slightly. But it was fun. It was fun.
No, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
well.
Very relaxing.
Yeah, well presented.
Yeah.
Before we bring Mike onto the stage, which I'm looking forward to chatting, but why don't we just set up this Doctor Strange nonsense and I think it's your turn to do a synopsis.
Yes, okay.
And by doing a synopsis, I mean getting your phone out and reading what IMDb says.
Yes, the crappy IMDb synopsis, which is what we do, and then we sledge it a little bit. Usually.
Well,
sometimes we say it's a good effort. It's true.
We do. We just assess it.
We should say it's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, you're already having a go
title.
at it? Okay.
Right?
And I got it wrong. Okay.
Here's the IMDb crappy synopsis. Dr. Stephen Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens the doorway to the multiverse, including alternate versions of himself whose threat to humanity is too great for the combined forces of Strange, Wong, and Wanda Maximoff.
Ooh, that's an odd synopsis.
It is odd to just introduce two extra new characters right at the very end of the synopsis.
And suggest that they are the forces fighting these evils, which is just I don't know. I don't know about that synopsis. I think we need someone else to help us.
I think we do
on this journey.
I think we do.
And look, I reckon we don't beat around the bush. I'd like you to just come over to my side of the table.
I'm going to come to your side.
And let's bring Mike Barry over, and we'll do our usual episode with the help of Mike.
Let's do it. Mike, how are you, man?
Guys, good. Very happy to be here.
Awesome.
I've been a long-time listener, long-time wonderer of which one was Doc and which one was Baron. 'Cause, I don't watch the YouTube. I listen on my commute or whatever. So I hear the chinking of the ice cubes and all the little tells of this show. I love very much.
So good.
I must say, Baron. So I took Mike out to try and get him smashed before the episode.
Didn't work.
And he did say, "Hey, Baron, how are you, mate?" So
That's great.
I think he now has established.
No, wait, I went, Baron, wait, Doc. No, the Baron? No, wait, the Doc?
Yeah. There was a bit of confusion, but
Awesome. I love
we
it.
established who was who. So I don't think the audience actually differentiates.
Yeah.
But
No. And actually some people have said that we sound exactly the same, which I can't understand, but
we sound nothing like each other.
Well,
in my mind.
there you go. Shall we get into the film a little bit?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's absolutely do it.
All right.
Where do we start?
Where do we start? Well, I want to know this is something we've been talking about a little bit recently, expectations going in, because it's always interesting. Now, first of all, we are aware that you're a bit of a superhero fan.
Uh-huh.
What are your films that not your favorite films, but like what is it that draws you to this genre? How into it are you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a massive nerd for Marvel films or not?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great.
And I make
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
We hadn't prepared at all.
Yeah.
And we're kind of resting on your
Well,
intellect.
You can count on it.
Good.
So I think it was a weird feeling for many years where I felt like I was ahead of the curve in that, guys, no, don't you see what's happening here? Like, it's not just a Thor movie. Like, there was an Iron Man movie. Now there's a Thor movie. Then there's a Captain America. Like, it's going to be Avengers, guys. And they're like, what's Avengers? You know. But,
wow.
you know, having read the comics for years, I was just watching the way it was building, and it was just like I was gripped, you know.
Yeah.
Now I got to say, not all the movies were amazing. Like I think the first two Thor movies, probably everyone agrees that like Thor was just treated way too seriously, right? Like because the third one, you guys remember Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically,
Taika.
Yeah, and like it was basically a Hulk Thor buddy cop movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, Hulk as a comedy character is just inspired, you know, like it's brilliant. Anyway, the thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which, you know, if you're into it at all, you know, you've heard this many times, but it started off, okay, we're making a superhero movie, you know, Iron Man, they made a superhero movie. Then they made, I think, another superhero movie, Iron Man 2, maybe. But then they're like, okay, we're starting to establish that now with Captain America, we're going to make a war movie. And with Thor, we're going to make like a Lord of the Rings fantasy style movie. And with Ant-Man, we're going to make like a Scott Pilgrim comedy style movie. And, you know, so they're trying to create a universe in which they can create entirely different genres, but it all holds together, right? So like Winter Soldier is like an awesome espionage movie. You know what I mean? But I think it's, you know, and I was just so all in all the way up to Endgame. Like I was just, when Endgame was coming out, I was like, oh my gosh, my mind was, I just couldn't wait. 22 films. I was like, this is like the greatest. This is why I'm alive.
Well, stop you there though. Like, so you're so intrigued by espionage and all the different genres, and I completely agree. They're all like their own thing. Taika Waititi is very different to all the other ones. So when they all come together, I struggled with, you know, bringing all those tones together. Did you worry about that, or how effectively did you think they sort of brought them together? Because, you know, they're going from scene to scene, from, you know, very melodramatic to slapstick.
Yep. Well, I think, I should have mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy too, which obviously was, you know, massive.
Which I loved.
Yeah, it was incredible. But I think, you know, if you're talking about Infinity War and Endgame, which was basically the big crossover movies, you know, I mean, I don't know how they could have handled it any better, you know. But then, I mean, yeah, then I was like, okay, what's going to happen now? And I think we're still, I think they're still kind of working it out. Yeah, I think they are. Which obviously, this movie, the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. If I don't know if you want to talk about that now, but
I think we do.
Well, just to give you a little context, so I had not seen the latest Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, but I knew that I had to see that. Firstly, Tom Holland is awesome. Those Spider-Man movies are great, but I knew that it was somehow linked to. I mean, you just have to see them in sequence, right? Like I can't break a 40 movie record and not see it in sequence. So,
well, look. You can.
Is that you can.
You can.
I can't.
You can.
I made my wife watch it we started at 11 o'clock at night on a school night. But, we watched Spider-Man the night before I went to see Doctor Strange, right? Because I wanted to have the full continuity.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so I had the full picture, right?
Yep.
I think if I could just put a thought out there initially, I think Doctor Strange, the title, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. What did you guys think of that title?
Did you say in or and? Because that was because it is in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was and, but it's in, yeah?
Yeah.
What did I say? Anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. I don't know what I said.
I think it's a pretty cool title.
Mm-hmm.
You like the multiverse is a trigger to excitement, and madness is a trigger to anything can happen. So I'm intrigued by the title, and that got me in.
I already told you that I started thinking about how this relates to Lovecraft and
I didn't have that going in, but yeah.
But then the second thought was, do we need another multiverse thing right now? That was definitely on my mind going in.
Yeah, because our last episode was about everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yes.
So we are right in the multiverse
film. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I wasn't really ready for a multiverse film.
Have you seen the show Community?
No, I've never really watched Community. No,
me either.
Yeah, well, that's an awesome show.
I never pegged that for a multiverse show.
Oh, you wouldn't. But season 6.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
but even that was probably 5 years ago.
So we have some homework.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's worth watching. I think the idea of the multiverse is definitely in the culture now, right? And it's been in comics for years.
Yeah.
Right? For years. It's the way that, Batman's dead, but now he's alive again because he's in another dimension and now he's here again. So it's all good. Let's keep selling comics.
It sort of became, a catch-all for like how you would sort of deal with these reboots that happened over and over again, which is what you see with the new Spider-Man film as well.
Well, okay. I mean, I guess why I was asking about the title, like when I watched the Spider-Man movie, that to me was the introduction to the multiverse. And I don't know. I felt like it sold the Doctor Strange movie short a little bit in that we'd already got the whole concept. We'd already it felt like maybe if they were going to call it, it's the multiverse of madness.
It's like a new thing.
Agree.
Like birth it in that movie, but it's like, okay, we already know what the multiverse, so it's what, mad? So he's upside down?
Yes, and madness is the key word.
Right.
We already know the multiverse. This one's a mad version.
A little bit, yeah.
I think that's a great call because it's not just Spider-Man, it's Loki and
you're right. Yeah.
Like there's been a couple of them. WandaVision.
Yeah, no, I'm up to episode 7, Maestro. So, please don't spoil WandaVision.
Oh, see, I made my wife watch WandaVision, which was that got harder with every episode. To get through
really?
It.
I quite liked WandaVision.
It gets better and better. I did it all the wrong way round. So I watched Doctor Strange, Multiverse. Then I watched Spider-Man, No Way Home. Then I watched most of WandaVision.
Now, this is interesting.
And
how are you enjoying WandaVision so far?
WandaVision is Baron and I last time I think we were talking about the things we wish we'd made. You wish you'd made Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I'd made WandaVision. Like I actually have notes basically detailing WandaVision.
You mean before you saw it or after?
No.
You
Well,
were like I need to.
Years before I saw it,
Okay.
saying like a sitcom or a noir film or something where the real world is trying to get through and you're trying to escape from it. So to see that come to life was just a thing of beauty for me.
Didn't destroy you a little bit?
Well, no, it
Didn't upset you a bit?
destroyed
Okay.
me. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but I still really enjoyed it. And I'm happy to have seen the Multiverse movie just because it got me to see Wonderverse, even though it was the wrong way around.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget the Multiverse was introduced with the Spider-Man animation one.
Great call.
Spider-Verse, of course.
Which
Spider-Verse.
I would argue, I don't even think this is an argument. I just think it's clearly a better film than the.
It's rad.
Yeah, it's
so
such a good film.
It is.
So good.
And so I had a moment
I'm gonna go to the bathroom
in another
because I'm 46 years old.
universe.
Keep talking, and I'll just come back.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You happy with that?
We're going to cover some serious ground here.
I
Though.
know. Break the set on the way out. Okay. I really strongly felt that we were. I don't understand why we have the new Spider-Man film when the Spider-Verse film is so much, in my opinion, so much better. It felt like we were that they were treading on ground that had already been just nailed like really well.
Yeah.
And it just made me wonder: is this a Disney thing of needing to have a live action version of everything? I mean, obviously, I've got some biases there, but
I think it's interesting. The Spider-Verse movie kind of stands alone, right? It doesn't have to, because I think maybe what you're getting at is what I was feeling a bit as well. I actually loved Spider-Man No Way Home, right? Because I felt like as a standalone movie, it's awesome.
yeah, it is pretty cool.
I did wonder how my kids would they understand anything? Like all those villains coming back, the extra Spider-Man, like it makes so much sense to me because that was my 20s watching those movies.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I was like, what? Are you serious? But my kids, I think, would be like, there's another guy with a slightly different Spider-Man outfit, you know?
Right.
Whereas Spider-Verse was so genius in the way it was actually, the idea was so contained.
Yeah.
You know, like it wasn't because in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the idea of the multiverse essentially means it's hard not to sit there with your arms folded and go, well, this is just infinite movies for Disney now. Like you could have a whole nother Captain America series with a slightly different looking Captain America or Captain Carter or whoever was in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe they will. But it's also like, but does that mean like, does death really matter? Does anything that happens in this universe really matter? What happens in the universe next door? Like maybe we'll just jump to that. You know, it sort of undermines, I think, possibly it's too giant a storytelling opportunity in some ways that it's like, well, does anything that happens in any of these movies actually really matter? Like the scale is too big now.
That's interesting because it's almost like it's almost giving an existential sort of question mark on the whole thing, plus on life itself. And, you know, maybe people are watching this and being educated in some way about how, you know, small we are and how little our lives
One of my
matter.
favorite moments in Doctor Strange was when Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four appeared. Like, because I didn't know that was coming. I was like, I mean, I know about the Illuminati because that's in the comics, right? But I didn't know who it would be as the dude from The Office, you know. And I was like, what? But like then he just got destroyed.
That was beautiful.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But it's like if I didn't know there was a Fantastic Four movie coming in 8 months.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay, so does that matter that he died? Is he not going to be in that movie and it's going to be a different guy? And it's sort of like, does any of it matter?
No,
Like,
but that's
a great point.
That's the question I have.
Point.
Yeah.
And that's the point that sort of just destroys my enjoyment of it just a tad. And this was the same with Everything Everywhere all at Once. When you're talking about the multiverse and the fact that anything can happen, does anything matter anymore?
Yeah.
And what does narrative really mean? Because like they can just, you know, if there's some conundrum to be solved, Doctor Strange just waves his hand, or you know, they just go to another universe. There's never any real stake somehow.
Yeah.
Everything's just.
I think that's the
fixed so
danger. I
easily.
think that's the danger of what's coming ahead. Like, I mean, I think Kevin Feige is a genius for what he's achieved so far. But
It's
I mean,
pretty amazing. I can't imagine how this whole thing goes
he's a
together
genius.
in anyone's head. But there you go.
But I mean, even in the Doctor Strange movie, I think they mentioned like 3 different Thanos battles, which kind of makes you think, oh, but I've watched 24 movies and do they even matter?
Yeah.
So believe me, I don't want to have these feelings, right? I am so the champion for the Marvel Universe. Like I've read WandaVision is essentially made a riff on a comic series called House of M and another comic series called Vision, right?
Yeah.
And those two come together. And so when I was watching WandaVision, like my honest opinion was, like, I love that story. I didn't know all what was going to happen because I could tell, but
it's derivative.
Well, that's okay for me because it's new for you, and I'm seeing it in a new format. I kind of felt like, and I know everyone loves WandaVision, and overall it's a great experience, right? But the first episode, are you serious? Like it's just, it's taken 24 movies of incredible. I've got so much goodwill towards Marvel, and now you make me watch something that is pointless. Like it's like, what? Is this a Bewitched ripoff? I'm sorry. And people's like complaining, like, it's just like Bewitched, but not funny. And I'm like, yeah, I know there's a bigger picture, but it's like, you're making me defend. I don't want to have to defend the Marvel. You know what I mean? Like, so what do you think about that? I mean, I think WandaVision as an overall delivery is fantastic, but I mean, it's rude to present that first episode.
I love
and
the
second
first episode, Mike Barry, because I'm doing things out of order, so I'm seeing WandaVision.
Yeah, well, maybe that's better.
Maybe it is because like I wasn't building. I was kind of trying to go back piecing together. And I'd seen WandaVision come up in my, must watch, and I hadn't watched it. And then all of a sudden I actually have to watch it because I'm doing this podcast, and then I don't finish it. But anyway, but watching that first episode, and I'm thinking, how are they going to tie this sort of crap in? Because this was Darren Stevens and Samantha.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful.
You didn't have to wait a week for the second episode like I did.
Oh, no, correct. I went straight in.
I can't do that anyway. I always have to binge it.
Yeah. I thought it was great. Like seeing it's everything that's great and awful about the Marvel universe, really, because you can increasingly we're seeing that anything can happen, all sorts of tones, whether be it melodrama or comedy, different directors take it in different directions. Yeah. And then it all has to be synthesized somehow. And I thought they did a good job at synthesizing this, which you wouldn't expect would be synthesizable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to talk about Doctor Strange again, I think.
Well, not again.
Oh, yeah,
I think we should really lean into Doctor Strange as of now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because that's what the episode's about, and really talk about Doctor Strange. So
but you can't talk about it without talking about the entire. That's actually kind of the point,
the problem.
Well, and I don't know. Have you finished WandaVision yet? Have you watched WandaVision?
Yeah, I've seen it all.
No, I'm 2 episodes to go, but please spoil.
Thoughts on Wanda's arc in the Doctor Strange movie? I mean, isn't it the same as her arc in WandaVision, just like she's slightly more evil or something? I mean, it's like, didn't she learn that lesson already? I don't.
But she doesn't really have much of an arc in Doctor Strange. She sort of starts off.
Well, she starts off evil and ends up understanding.
Okay, you're right. She doesn't. Yeah, she does a bit. I guess.
Yeah,
I guess I meant like. She already like created this whole world, like she created everything and she mind control and, but actually I guess kind of the way it was depicted is like kind of beautifully subtle, like I guess is maybe why you like it so much, right? And why I did appreciate it. Whereas in Doctor Strange, it felt a lot more like, it's like classic movie villain,
Yeah, totally.
And a bit I thought she already worked out that she shouldn't do this.
Right.
What do you guys say? Was I wrong about that? What do you think?
No, that makes I see where WandaVision is going, and I see that there's got to be some sort of resolution where she sort of comes to some sort of realization, I guess. And then now we're seeing another arc that is similar.
Well, yeah, I guess she's maybe just leveling up evil, or like she sort of seemed to get it, but no, she didn't really get it. She's just kind of yeah, I don't know.
She's highly watchable though, and she's very, very good on accents for different decades. I think she,
yes,
like her voice.
She's very watchable.
Her voice is great. Is very good.
Yeah, Yeah, she's great in it. Now, it seems like at the beginning of Doctor Strange, she's you know, it's really, she's just pretended to go along with it all. And she's really,
of course,
you know, it just feels like, it was all a pretense. That's what I took away from it.
Well, that again sort of undermines the point of WandaVision a bit.
Yes.
Like, or the satisfaction for the viewer.
Correct. Yeah, I think so. Or either
I didn't prepare any of this. I wasn't ready to unwind my love of the Marvel Universe.
But there's so much. It's. I've been confused of late because I saw this in the cinema about 4 days ago, and then realised how many gaps I had in my knowledge, and I've been trying to cram like an exam all the Marvel stuff that was required to watch this film.
I'm so confused all the time with it, with I should say, with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, I was with it until we got to Endgame, and then
it was so manageable in your head.
Yes,
right? Even though it was huge in scale, like it was now with the multiverse,
it suddenly wasn't manageable. And every film was referencing things that had happened in other films that you didn't really get before that as much. And it just got to the point now where I've forgotten some key things, and I none of it makes any sense to me anymore. However, I was able to keep up with Doctor Strange entirely. There was no problems because all it was really referencing was WandaVision. I think, right? Did it really reference many other films?
Well, and the last ones of the Avengers, I think.
But minimally, like it didn't really seem to lean on them in any way.
Or the blip or whatever it's called.
The blip, yeah. I mean, I think Wanda made a really interesting point in the movie, which was like, and I think Benedict Cumberbatch is awesome as Doctor Strange, right? I think the silver things look kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
like
kind of.
It's in the comics, but it's like it just looks bad. Why are they doing that? Anyway, it's so distracting because he's such a good actor.
Yeah,
and it's sort of like, oh, why?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a ridiculous costume, and there's some ridiculous hair and makeup stuff going on.
Do you want to pause on Benedict and talk about him a little? Because
let's
do it.
I like him. I'm prone to like him, but I find him hard to connect with.
Yep.
Both the character that is set up as this wanker really, and also the actor. Like Benedict's face, I just can't really get in.
He's got small eyes.
I don't know what it is, but I can't get into it, and I don't think there ends up being connection or like with Rachel McAdams, who I love. I don't feel chemistry.
There was more chemistry in Spider-Man between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Like there was more Doctor Strange. Like I loved him more in the movie that wasn't his. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that I get you.
Yeah, it had
it was a better film.
It was, yeah, but
Well, I mean, yes. So I agree. The Doctor Strange thing's been a bit hit and miss. Like I don't think I've really felt him nailing that, or just that connection you're talking about. But I place some of that on Sam Raimi because of the kind of director that he is.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's an actor's director, and I think the first half. So I do this thing where I don't really research the film at all. I go in completely cold.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Sam Raimi was the director of this film. So for the first half of the film, I was like, what is up with this film? What is going on here? Why is this acting so weird? And what's this tone that I'm seeing?
The tone. Yes.
The tone is so strange. And then comes the sequence where the Red Witch is chasing them and it's full on horror. And I was like, this was so much like Sam Raimi. and Edith was like, does remind you of Sam Raimi? Like, yeah, it does. And then before long, I was like, oh, this is Sam Raimi. That's what's going on here. I get it now.
Well, slow down.
Yeah.
You didn't realize you were watching a Sam Raimi film.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
That's amazing because you've hit on the obvious talking point, I think, and that is there's two films here. The first half is sort of generic Marvel, and then the
done strangely,
done Doctor Strangely, and then the second half is pure Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
And how the mind, deals with that is difficult. Like I hated the film for the first half. Couldn't stand it. I'm just throwing my boysenberry choc top at the at the seat in front of me, and then all of a sudden it started to get all ramey. The editing changed.
It started to get awesome, is what it started to get.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
no, it did start to get awesome in my opinion too. Yeah. But it hadn't been set up that way. So I was starting from this negative base, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, actually, I like that editing move. I like what he did there. I like these sort of melodramatic one-liners.
When that Red Witch thing happened, that chase sequence through all the hallways and stuff, I was like on the edge of my seat. I'm like, this is actually, this is kind of scary. What's going on here?
Yeah.
And it just got from there on, you know, once we got into the demon stuff, and then the absolutely genius moment of bringing dead Doctor Strange back to life. That was so good.
And so, when he's having serious conversations with half his cheek missing, he's like, you can do this.
Yes. which
good.
First reminds me of, because we haven't thrown any in yet.
Yeah. Have you got any reminders?
I want to hear. Yep.
Yeah.
Good. I got some.
Yeah, good. So, well, we've talked One Division, clear one, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, as soon as we got into the reanimating dead thing, Army of Darkness was just the clear reference for me, and it's stuck from that point onwards. Yep. So that second half of the film is Army of Darkness in my mind, with a Marvel Universe twist on it. It's just got like even the half of the cheek missing, and so I've gone back and rewatched Army of Darkness again for this, because I just wanted to just live in that warm fuzzy feeling again. Of that film, and just, you know, so much of the body horror and the craziness, you can almost lift moments straight from Army of Darkness and plonk it into this film.
Well, I think the really interesting what you're saying about the two halves. I mean, to me, the Doctor Strange movie had like maybe 4 or 5 really just rad moments, like really good moments. One of them was when he when he reanimated his own dead body. I mean, that was just so good.
Beautiful.
And then the way it just, like, it seemed like it was going to be kind of a gag. And then he ended up like kind of is one of the most sincere moments in the film through like, and this is where the tone, I was like, they finally landed the tone like 10 minutes from the end here, you know, like
agree.
When he is like supporting that, America Chavez, pretty awesome character, I thought. Like, but I would have liked to see her a little less. Always the victim, always tied. Oh, stop taking my power. Everyone's taking my power. You know, but when he's like coaching her and he's like, you know, got half his face missing, but he's just, it was like, this is the best character moment in the whole movie. You know.
Yeah, good point. That's true. You're right. It felt like it took the whole film.
It finally got there
for it to get to that, for it to start to really gel. I mean, the first half, there was some, you know, good action in it, but it even then, like the CG felt really cartoony, and it, you know, the creatures felt uber cartoony.
I think the tone, even him, like you're saying, I think he sort of plays it so. Like, are we meant to like this guy? He's a bit of a jerk. And like Wanda even says, like, you do one thing and you're a hero. I do the same thing and I'm a villain. Like, why is that? You know?
Right.
And no one answers that question. But it's like, that is a really good question. Like, you know, I kind of like Wanda more, and she's only because she's slightly less annoying than him.
Well, no, she's a cutie for starters. So, you know, it helps. But he's hard to watch sometimes. Like early on, do you remember, like he's at the wedding, and I feel for him a bit, you know, he's seeing the woman he loves getting married to someone else. But then there's an emergency, and do either of you remember the spin off the balustrade that he does? It's such a
it was actually
it's
awesome.
Just so
like it was. I'm a bit worried that maybe that's the moment that Maestro was gonna mention, because he laughed. But that was the moment for me that I just thought, oh, this is jumped the shark like 5 minutes in, and I actually hated it. I think I can't relate to this prick.
You know, I was okay with that. I was like, this guy's a bit of a dick, and that's just what we're doing.
And that's what they're trying to say. Yeah. No, fair
I
enough.
was like, they are trying to say that, right? That's
Yeah,
like
they
my brain's
are,
trying
they
to
are,
reconcile it.
they are
Yeah.
trying to
Called Doctor Strange though, like he's the
yeah,
hero.
he's the hero. But Ash is a bit of a dick,
But,
and
but
that's
I
the
want
whole
to,
thing.
but I want to at least sort of feel for him. So I didn't feel for him for a long time until it felt like the WandaVision, where you're in this film, and you know how in WandaVision there's little helicopters that come in, and there's intrusions into that world. It felt like Sam Raimi was trying to get into the world.
He had this
And
really annoying script that was all marvelly at the start.
It was all Marvel, and then he's introducing. You just see little snippets of Raimi, and then all of a sudden, halfway through, they've got sick of. He's broken through, and suddenly it's Raimi-esque.
So wait, what about when the Illuminati, like Reed Richards, Black Bolt, Professor X from the X-Men movies, and they all just get wiped.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Savagely wiped. I mean, like their deaths, I was like, whoa, each one of them was like full on.
To me, that was when the movie really turned and became great. It was like when that they all got wiped out in inventive ways, and then the witch chase was right after that, wasn't it? Through all the halls and stuff. Yeah, that was when it turned. That's when it got good.
Yeah,
great.
I think.
I agree. It was all set up prior to that.
Yeah.
What did you feel about the? These are characters that I've never heard of because I'm not a comic book guy. But you know all these chaps and women, yeah.
Did you know the guy with the voice, the tuning?
Black Bolt, yeah.
Black Bolt?
Yeah.
He can't, well,
It's a silly question. He knows.
says one word and it like destroys a city.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
I mean, I've got to say, like in terms of actual characters, the most interesting characters to me were the Illuminati, and they died in 5 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
I was just waiting for them. I was like, oh my gosh, like these are big players in the Marvel universe.
Is this okay given it's a multiverse and we're sort of almost we're given a peek into what might happen, and we may well see some of these people appear in 616?
616,
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's kind of like, okay, so I mean, it was like these amazing introductions of these characters, and then they're wiped, and it's like it obviously doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah,
I don't think they care because in their mind they're like, well, this is this one universe where we're fine to wipe it out. We'll just use it as a nice little tantalizing. This is what's coming, but then they'll be in their own universe, and it'll be an awesome story, and there'll be lots of lots of goodness in there for everyone. And
I think to this point, like you said, I mean, it's been about trying to hold the whole Marvel universe in your head, like it all holds together. And now it's a different mode for us. We're going to have to start releasing those to be discrete universes, maybe, or I don't know. But it's like it's a bit of a shift, and they trained us over 24 movies to wait for the bit after the credits that's going to psych us up for the next.
They
3
sure
movies,
did.
Yeah,
they sure did train us.
So it's interesting. Yeah.
They sure did. Nobody waits till the end of credits unless, it's like they do these days. It's except at film festivals.
The one from Doctor Strange. I waited and was
Yeah.
That was more of an Evil Dead nod, I think, that one.
Right.
The one at the very, very end.
What was that? I can't recall.
It was Ash finally not punching himself in the head anymore. Bruce Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, there's anyone, I just would have liked Bruce Campbell to play Doctor Strange. Honestly, like in the second half of the film, when there was a quote,
That's actually great.
America, whatever her name is, said, I'm glad I fell into your universe. And he said, so am I, kid, so am I.
Oh, when he said so am I twice, I was like, what?
Yeah.
But no, and my reaction to that was initially, oh, Christ, what an awkward, bloody hopeless script. However, then I very quickly thought, okay, if this was in a Raimi film, if that was Bruce Campbell saying it, so am I, kid, so am I, that would be a meme.
Yeah.
That's like that would be like oh my goodness, can you remember when Bruce Campbell said, so am I, kid, so am I?
It's straight out of it.
Straight out of it.
Straight out of any of those films. Yeah.
So we're bringing with us the baggage of what we expect from
Raimi.
From Raimi.
Cumberbatch as well, though.
And, yeah, true.
Like,
this
this guy's an Oscar-winning actor,
Yeah.
But what's happening with the tone here? Like,
that's true.
Interesting.
And I find him difficult as an actor. Like I'm prone to like him, but
Except in movies.
I just can't. Except in movies. Correct. I saw him on SNL the other. He hosted SNL like last episode.
Yeah.
He's great. I love him.
Yeah.
But I just can't connect with him in a friggin' movie. The Power of the Dog. Well, I hated that.
I really didn't like the Power of the Dog either, but you know.
Hey, I had
that's
this reminds me
controversial.
of. That reminds me of.
Yeah, great.
With the I'm not that familiar with the Army of Darkness series. I think I maybe have seen bits when I was too young or something. I don't know.
Well, it's the best movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean,
Army.
weirdly, I think I know enough about it to know exactly what you're saying.
Evil
just
Dead
don't-
3.
But I think something like Zombieland or also Shaun of the Dead, in which the zombies were treated like really seriously, but it was also hilarious. You know, I think I felt like that was a really cool way to deal with that topic. And then, you know, that happened, I think, in Doctor Strange, because it was like, yeah, like I said, that where he's like being really sincere, it's kind of, that's hilarious, but it's also like, I feel it. Like for the first time, I'm feeling this guy and he's dead.
He's got half his face.
He's got half his
chewed
face
off.
missing. Yeah,
And yet for the first, like, I can't relate to Benedict Cumberbatch's face generally, but now all of a sudden there's all this pathos.
Yeah. Anyway, that was somewhere it reminds me of. So there you go.
That's great. I love it.
Zombieland and
yeah,
Shaun of the
totally.
Dead.
And just the reveling in the gore and
Yeah.
while playing it light and for humor.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
So good.
Yeah.
Did you have any, Baron? Do you have any sort of other reminds me of?
Well, I went on a Raimi journey. So after I rewatched Army of the Darkness, I also watched Drag Me to Hell. Because Drag Me to Hell is one of the more recent Raimi films.
And it harks back to Army of Darkness days.
Right.
After I think a spell of sort of Hollywood.
Exactly. So you've got Evil Dead's 1 to 3. Then there's the Spider-Man films that he did, which are a clear reference, I would say, for this as well, because they're superhero films, same universe, but in a time before it was all this universe stuff was happening. Yeah. And they're awesome. In particular, the second one with Doc Ock is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course we've had the Multiverse film recently where Tobey Maguire rocks up.
Yeah.
So like there's that one's a clear one as well.
Yeah.
But then after that came Drag Me to Hell, which was it was a more modern, slicker, updated version of Sam Raimi doing his horror with demons and people coming back from the dead and curses and so on. And I just remembered it was great and I wanted to see it again to see how it holds up. It doesn't hold up as well as I thought it would, but it's still wonderful. It's fantastic.
Well, I think Sam Raimi, if you're thinking of, reminds me of, well, you've got to go to Army of Darkness, which is Evil Dead 3, and just things like the Necronomicon. Do you remember the Necronomicon?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's all about the Book of the Dead.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange has got essentially what's it called?
The Darkhold.
The Darkhold. It's the same sort of crap.
It reminded me of in the Dark Knight Rises, where the magic technology was called the blank slate. It's like just explains everything.
Yeah,
like, you know.
They may as well call it the Dark MacGuffin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, keep going. Yeah.
No, I think I was done. I don't have anything else.
But I think it's interesting that you mentioned, you've mentioned Army of Darkness as well.
10 times. Yeah.
Yes. But Evil Dead 2, to me, is the best of the Evil Dead films.
Oh, I don't agree. Like Evil Dead 2 is that's the one that changes your life. I agree.
Wow.
No. Evil Dead 2 changed my life. Evil Dead 1 was a bit whatever.
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2 was a virtual remake.
Yeah.
But had such bloody humor and critically, that scene that was, referred to in this film where Bruce Campbell's hand gets crazy and like takes over. So that's what Evil Dead 2 brought. But Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness, is a whole other level. And that's the one that sort of, act 2 of 2 acts in this film referenced. Like that's when Doctor Strange became a zombie, where in Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness territory.
I agree. So I wanted to clarify. I think the second film is the best. However, I think Army of Darkness is the most closely aligned to this one.
Right.
And the style, for sure.
Yeah. No,
We're geeking out on Evil Dead.
Army of Darkness is also the best. It is one of the greatest films of all time.
It is awesome. I agree.
What else we got? Mike Barry, do you have any other reminds?
So a few random remind me of.
Great, I love it. We're famous for that.
Yeah, well, lean into what you're good at.
Absolutely.
Right? So when Doctor Strange is like twisting his little, like I was like, this is a direct lift from Minority Report. Like,
oh wow,
the
from
movement,
Cruise.
like, yeah,
and he's
well, it was like, it was like exactly. I reckon you could put the clips next to each other. I was like, that's incredibly the same.
Yeah.
That
is.
I mean, I was obviously watching for Reminds Me of because I knew I was going to see you guys.
I'm not sure if that's the worst Reminds Me of I've ever heard or the best.
The best.
It's one of the two.
It walks the line. It walks the line between best and worst, and that's what you're looking for.
However, I do want to see a meme now with Tom Cruise in Doctor.
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking.
And vice versa.
This is how we think now.
Yeah.
Like, this could be a meme.
Yeah.
It could be yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's all happening. It's coming together.
Tom Cruise on his little transparent whiteboard.
I
also
want to see them both standing in front of a green screen doing the stupid gestures with nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Now, I also had...
That's a good one.
Sorry, I made a few notes. Okay, have you guys seen Free Guy? With
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Yes. That's really an interesting film.
fun.
Yeah, it's a great
really
film.
fun
Yeah.
film.
But he's kind of in the virtual world and like sort of anything is possible, but there's really clear rules. And like, I thought, although I kind of hear what you're saying about the first half of the movie, I think a lot of the visuals and the way it was sort of, he was kind of central and stuff's happening all around him. And like, he sort of sees it and then he doesn't see it. I just really had a Free Guy feel. And because I think it did have the whole movie like was trying to have a comedic tone.
Right. Yeah.
And it just, for some reason, it just wasn't quite landing in the first half, I think, like we've talked about. But yeah, it just really made me think of Free Guy for those reasons.
Yeah,
does that ring any bells for you guys? Or?
Well, the whole sort of the universe is coming apart around him and anything can happen and he's trying to piece it all together. That aspect of it, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I agree. I don't think he's good. He's good at delivering a comedic line, but, Ryan Reynolds, like, it's hard to beat, hard to match that level of quick witty lines and so on. And it felt like this film needed a little bit of that in the first half.
Yeah.
Needed something.
It needed something. I don't know what it was. Either that or it just needed the darkness of the second half to just be the whole way through it.
Now, wait, hang on. Okay, wait. I've just thought of something. Okay, so there was an idea introduced in this movie that I thought was pretty interesting and I think we're probably going to see more legs out of, which was that when you're asleep and dreaming, you're accessing the multiverse.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it is.
That is a cool idea.
It is a cool idea. And you're like,
they didn't use it a lot though in this though, did they?
No,
I think they just set it up, yeah?
Yeah, that's what and I think that's probably this movie to me felt like it's setting up, I guess.
Completely agree.
For whatever comes next. Like the Illuminati introduced for 5 minutes, it's like, okay, there's like 12 new movies coming out of there,
Yeah.
I think, but the dream aspect, it made me start to think of Inception, which was like the dreams inside the dreams and like, like they affect what's happening in this,
Yeah.
And there was some similar treatment too with the, like, you could tell you were in a dream world, obviously, or not. And,
you've just given me a question that I need to ask you. So you mentioned setting up and it just made me think the maestro, back when we watched Eternals, talked about how that was a setup film for more to come.
I was just thinking of the same thing. I was just about to throw to Maestro. Yeah, I agree.
But I need to know, okay. Did you want to add something in there?
What I'm thinking is that when we saw the Eternal, I said something, it's setting up something.
Yeah.
Okay? But more we go into the next movie, and then we go and see Spider-Man, and then Doctor Strange. I don't know if actually it's working.
That's true.
how much setup do we need?
Is this Marvel Phase 4? Is that what they call it? Like there's different phases of Marvel and, Iron Man and those characters were perhaps Phase 3 ending in the end game. And now this is a whole new thing. Or like all the big stars are out of contract.
Well, that's the thing, right? They're all going to get old and less
unsexy.
appealing.
Yeah.
So, but what I was getting at is, what did you think of the Eternals? In a nutshell.
I thought there was some amazing stuff in that movie, and it was trying to be very different. I think, like tonally, very different. Too.
Yeah.
Even the fact that Angelina Jolie was in it and playing that role, it
is
makes
odd.
you question everything. You're like, why? How come? Like, there must be a reason, because it's not this movie. And I think this is my fear, is that, I'm dropping $28 to go and watch an episode of a series, is how it starts to feel now. But when, like the maestro is saying, where's the payoff?
Yeah.
When is the payoff going to come? Because it's like, and I mean, the comics have gone through this for years. The comics have been perennially in Act 2, essentially, for 60 years,
Good call.
Like,
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and like they have these big everyone will die events, and like it happens and then it all starts again, and like it's just, I mean, it's just the nature of, because a story is not satisfying if it doesn't end. If it just goes on forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow, it's just like life. It's like, well, I don't know, that just happened, and that just, maybe they're related, maybe they're not. Like it's you need to see that someone is, and I think we're getting a lot of setup at the moment. And again, I think it's probably trying to leverage all the goodwill that we've had, but like they're running out of road in that regard.
Well, I didn't think any of this shit was going to work. Like when we first saw I think maybe 5, 6, I don't know how many years ago now, probably longer, saw the list of all of the Marvel films lined up, and I was like, what? That's insane. Like, how's that? Nah, can't be. That cannot work. And I remember there were people freaking out about like what all these tentpole films every freaking month of the year was going to do to the film industry. Well, it has pretty much destroyed most of it, actually. but then it all moved to streaming, so it was okay. But
this is a tentpole film, is it not?
All of the Marvel films are tentpole films.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
What kind of got me off guard, I think, was the fact that, okay, I watched this and then I realized I didn't just have to catch up, because I knew I was behind on Spider-Man No Way Home, and I've watched that since. I didn't realize I had to catch up with all the bloody series.
The series, yeah. That's
like
almost I mean, I'm a mega fan, and it's like I just can't. Like,
yeah, but that's that's new that you have to have,
Yeah, it's. Yeah, the idea's been floating around for a little while, but they're the first to be doing it really well.
Yeah.
I know, like, one of the biggest disappointments for me of recent years was when they made The Dark Tower into a film.
Oh, yeah.
But the original concept was 3 films with bridging TV series between them, which is cool.
Yeah.
Sounded really cool. J.J. Abrams had a go at it, couldn't crack it. Ron Howard had a go at it, couldn't crack it. And then they ended up getting, I can't remember who made the one that just should never have happened. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you guys see the Hawkeye series?
No, I haven't yet.
No, I haven't seen it. I've heard it's good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the comic it's based on is like probably my favorite comic of all time.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
He's such a lame superhero.
Oh, yeah. But that's actually, that's
why
the
it's
point
good.
of the comic series,
Yeah.
which is like, he's an Avenger.
Yeah.
But when the day's off from being an Avenger, this is what happens. And he's basically he lives in a building, he's trying to like program his DVR. He's trying to like, pay the rent. He's trying to, like, it's so awesome. Like the massive scale of Avengers, like contrasted with, he's got a Band-Aid on his nose and, like just.
He's a man.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
A human man.
And I mean, the series was good. It was good. But it didn't end. And like, it just. I think it's all about the endings in these, they just never end, do they? Because it's like, it's always like, and there's just so much more, so much more. And I think we just need endings sometimes,
Is that the studio kind of leaning on the storytellers here, or is it innately built into this kind of storytelling?
It is, but I think like the Ragnarok movie, that definitely had a great ending, but also was a there was going to be a clear lead on, you know. So it's a fine art, I suppose. And, you know, I mean, I write episodic stuff. Like nothing like a cliffhanger to get you to buy the next book.
Yeah.
Like I'm into it.
Yeah.
But you've also got to have a satisfying enough chunk or segment, you know, in that episode or that movie, I think. You know?
Yeah, not to feel like it's just another episode in a wandering, you know, maze of stuff.
Which is what Batman, the last Batman does.
Ooh, Maestro. I'm not
Curveball.
we're mixing DC Marvel here, but I reckon them.
That's what I'm saying. That's where they're losing a bit. They're going too much on setting up things that they missing the final. While Batman does have a good final, good ending.
Yeah, there's still.
You know that it can be something else after, but I'm satisfied with the ending.
That's true. There's still nothing like a film that just stands alone, is solid on its own 2 feet, has a great beginning, middle, and ending, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But having heard from the Maestro on Batman, which I think was a couple of episodes late, may I say, because I think he missed the Batman episode.
He did. He wasn't
so
here.
he hasn't got over the fact of missing the Batman
but we
episode.
did give him his moment for the last. Yeah,
He's got a lot to say.
But it was an anti-moment, so
it was an anti-moment. Correct. True.
Yeah.
But that said, we're talking about Doctor Strange in the madness of multiverse stuff. I would love to hear what the Maestro's moment in the multiverse was.
Very confusing. I got very confused the first half. And I appreciate a bit more the second half, but it was really confusing the first half. And also probably I really didn't appreciate to see Wanda as a villain. I don't know. I really like her, and I couldn't see her as a villain.
Is that because she's cute? You couldn't really get your head around.
Apart that, I really like her.
Okay, those are some good criticisms,
but they're not
what's your
moments.
moment? Yeah.
I don't have a, no. That's I really don't have a really good moment of the. I mean, if I have to talk about the scene, I really like the battle with the notes instrument.
The music notes battle.
Oh, yeah, that was good. That actually seemed to come out of nowhere.
I want to talk about that. Can I talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, because this was a moment for me.
Yeah.
I freaking hated it. I hated it, but no, it reminded me of something though. I'm going to get a prop here. Reminded me of Action Tank, the first episode. Now, when I say I hated the moment, I loved Action Tank. But there's a character in Action Tank which is a little bird, and this is so cool. You know, you've got little frames of the comic, and with dialogue, and then the bird just speaks in little musical notes.
Yeah.
And it warmed my heart. I loved it so much. It was so creative. So that I loved. Now let's talk about Doctor Strange. What troubles me in all of these films, as they get less human and Wolverine and Hawkeye-ish and more just, you know, alien and you know, ridiculous skills, that it ends up being just shooting rays of like, you know, light
Magic.
at each other.
Once it gets to magic, right?
And you can't tell, like you don't know what the boundaries are. You don't know what their skills are or their powers. So I guess to counter that in this, you know, there was a scene where Doctor Strange and someone else were having a battle, and the powers were like expressed in little musical notes. And I thought that was freaking ridiculous. I just couldn't handle it. It jumped the shark for me. I just thought,
It
well,
seemed like it was from another movie.
It's from
It was awesome.
No,
if that movie was like that.
correct. See, in Action Tank, the tone was perfect for a very similar thing. But in this, it just didn't fit. Like this is, I know there's humor and there's seriousness, but this just didn't make any sense to me. Discuss.
I have the movie for you that the music notes that become weapons are from. And I've mentioned it in this podcast recently.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Hustle. Have you seen that film?
No.
Well, you and your Kung Fu Hustle.
Kung
You
Fu
mention that every
Hustle!
bloody week.
No, that was just last week.
Okay.
Okay, but there's a scene where they send some assassins to fight off this village full of Kung Fu masters, and one of the guys is blind and he's got some sort of stringed instrument.
A bass guitar.
It's a bass guitar.
Yeah.
No, but it's like a traditional Chinese stringed instrument, and he literally does a squat on one leg, puts it on his lap, and like flings notes with his fingers.
Yeah.
And they're like invisible swords that just slice anything in the way.
Yeah, I can't cope with that. That's too far.
But
away
that's his
from-
one power. That's the only thing he does.
Honestly.
So would that be okay if it was just that was his one thing?
A
It's
little-
because Doctor Strange can do everything.
Okay, a little bit better.
Okay.
A little bit better.
You know,
Mike Barry.
Well, I thought it was an awesome concept, but it also seemed so like, okay, but Doctor Strange can do anything. Like, why are we suddenly fighting with little? It's like shooting matchsticks at each other when you can actually just fire oceans at one another.
Fire
It's sort of
oceans.
Like, what's happening with the scale of these battles? I think the thing about magic has always bothered me a bit in the comics too, where it's like, it's a bit like the multiverse. It's like suddenly I can't contain it in my head. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know the rules. I don't know, like it just, what matters now and what doesn't. I mean, to be honest, I haven't read any pure Doctor Strange comics. I've only read him in the Avengers, right? And, you know, he often turns up as a bit of a plot device. Like, yes, I saw a thing in the blah, blah, you know, like, or, you know, let me just transport you to the blah, blah, you know.
Yeah. It's the windows he can open to anywhere.
Yeah.
Plus the coming in with the hidden knowledge from the back room.
Yeah.
And then having the spell that's just the right spell for the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that works in an Avengers movie
Yeah.
when you need that at that moment.
Yeah.
But like when he's the centerpiece, it probably it doesn't. It's not quite holding, is it?
No, that's exactly how I feel. He's a plot device and other things. You forgive it. But when it's all about that, when anything can happen, I think I made a similar point with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You did. Yeah.
When anything can happen, nothing matters anymore, and you can't grab on to a storyline to relate to. Yeah, so I don't know, Doctor Strange, and there was a similar there was a similar moment, not just a moment, but when Doctor Strange and all these mates are fighting Wanda for one of the first times, and they're channeling all their incredible powers into these magical arrows and magical shields.
Yeah.
And I think, well, don't constrain yourself to little,
So
arrows
literal.
and stuff. It's so it's true. Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. Like, I know that's a way for us as the audience to get it, and I'm as frustrated by just these random beams of light that they throw from their hands. So in one sense, that's countering that. That's making it something we can understand, arrows and shields. But both crap me just as much.
Yeah.
And I just long for the days when you got Batman and Wolverine and people that you can kind of relate to their boundaries.
This I don't want to drag this on too much, but I like
Drag us to hell.
this whole thing about like what matters, right? Does anything matter? You know, in the comics recently, I mean, the last 5 years, they've actually started to tackle this, right? Because the big thing to sell comics was this guy dies, or, you know, someone will die, or, you know, and it's like they die, but then they have to come back because, you know, you can't have the Fantastic Three, right? So this guy, this writer, Jonathan Hickman, writes comics. He did a big run on Fantastic Four, which was awesome. And he killed the Human Torch, right? Who was one of the four. But everyone was like, oh, yes. But he did this thing where he was like, where probably about 10 issues later, turns out the Torch wasn't dead, right? And he came back and, you know, and everyone's like, But the way he did it, it sort of set the table for what he then did in the X-Men, right? Which was like killing characters in the Marvel comics. We can't just keep doing it. Like, it means nothing because you know they're coming back. Like I'll leave and new writer will come and here, oh, look, he's alive. It's amazing.
It's the days of our lives.
And so Hickman took this into the X-Men and completely rebooted the X-Men, right? So that they embraced the idea of resurrection, right? So that these 5 mutants, the premise of the X-Men is they're mutant. These 5 mutants, when they combine their powers, they can actually resurrect any other mutant, right? And this was openly explained in this new series, which meant that, Wolverine goes to space. He tries to stop the Sun Eater from destroying the Earth or whatever. Fails.
With his sharp nails.
Yep.
Yep.
He fails, but it's an awesome comic, right?
Yep.
And then he dies. It's like, whoa. Next issue, he comes back to life. And they're like, mate, it didn't work. So what next? And then this idea that like these deaths are like you can die strategically because you'll be brought back.
Oh, wow.
So, and it actually flipped this whole idea of nothing matters to like that death does matter. Like it doesn't matter for what you think. It's not mattering for sales or for like controversy. It's because, it's doing it because of the X-Men's greater goals. He died here. He'll come back there and he knew he was going to die, and it actually sort of flipped that concept around a bit.
That's interesting.
Because I think it was getting to that point where it's like, you just can't keep killing everybody,
And then just rebooting them.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be good if they'd lost something when they died. Like they came back 10% less cool than when they the last
exactly. 10% less cool.
Man,
did you ever buy the Death of Superman comic?
I did not. No.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, I was probably 13 and they brought out the Death of Superman comic, which is where, did you get it?
No, I didn't get it, but I remember that it was a big deal.
It came in like a black poly bag with the S symbol, but the S was dripping blood.
Oh, sweet.
And inside was a black armband that had the S on it. And it was like this huge moment. And like, Superman actually died. And then there was this whole other series, A World Without Superman. But there's Superman now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just add one thing on the Eternal, going back to I actually rewatched the Eternal yesterday, basically. And I think I actually appreciate it a little bit more. But it's in the same time I feel quite sad of it because it worked on TV. So watching all the movies didn't work in the same way as I watched on the TV 65-inch.
The gap between TV and cinema has really gotten smaller these days, particularly with all the extravagant kind of CG and stuff. The quality that you're seeing in TV is almost there, it's quite similar. So yeah, I can totally see that. I mean, the things that I get excited about going to the cinema to see are Villeneuve films and, where I know I'm going to see something cinematic that isn't like most of the other cinema that's out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting older, but it's like I was watching Doctor Strange and I was thinking like these effects are just unbelievably good.
Yeah, they are incredible.
But I was kind of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, cool effects. Like I got to say, even in Endgame, which I love, the whole, but it got to the end with the big battle and I was like, oh, great, of course there's a big battle, like there's going to be blasting and blah, 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 blah. And you just sort of wait for it to be over so that you can have the emotional moments again,
So I do have a feeling at the end of most of these films, not all of them, but a fair number of them, even some of the ones that I really like, is that you'll have this build up of tension throughout the whole film and there's going to be a fight at the end. And there's all these sort of emotional stakes, and there's all these like there's always a lot of interesting concepts about the world that they're in or the powers that they have, and you're expecting that this is all going to come to a head in some unique way, and then it's a fist fight at the end, and that happens so often. And that's one thing that I just find
I do agree,
disappointing, and it. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is there. Maybe in the end, we're all humans and we all are just kind of, it all comes down to who can beat the other person up with their fists the best.
Even in the comics sometimes I'm like, really? Like a fist fight? I mean, yeah. Oh.
But that's what makes it human, isn't it? And that's like what I was saying before about like a lot of them are just laser beams coming out of hands. And it doesn't mean anything. The Eternals was massive like that. I felt like the whole of the Eternals was just light coming out of hands.
It was also like, wait, so I've just met 12 characters at once, and like that guy
And
does
none
what,
of none of them. One of them's cute, and none of them are interesting.
All right, well, it's not too bad.
No, that's how I felt coming out of the Eternals. Have we got any more reminds me of?
No, I mean, unless you do, but I was thinking we should wrap it up.
I had a really minor one.
Oh, please.
Well, Ghostbusters.
What? Okay. Ghostbusters.
He slimed me.
Yeah. Before you say, are we talking about old Ghostbusters?
Original Ghostbusters.
Original Ghostbusters.
I thought that just some of the monster design was Ghostbuster-esque.
Great.
Now, I know you're into monster design, so you can assess me on this critique. But I thought one of the first monsters was that a cyclopsy type thing, which was kind of a bit ridiculous and comic. Like it wasn't, and it was paired with Doctor Strange doing that ridiculous superhero, leap off the balcony, which
I had no problems with.
I had several problems with. Anyway, we'll talk offline about that. But the cyclopsy creature was not really. I couldn't take it seriously. It reminded me of Mr. Frosty or whatever that. Remember that. The Marshmallow Man. Was it Mr. Frosty? Why did I think the Marshmallow Man?
Yeah.
It reminded me of that. And similarly, towards the end, when it started in the Sam Raimi part of the film, when all the ghosty, ghouly monsters were there, that was very similar just to the treatment of the ghosts in Ghostbusters. So I thought Ghostbusters would have been on the mood board.
Cool. Yep.
So the question is, has this whole episode been a setup for the next one?
You mean this episode of That Reminds Me Of?
Yes. Have we been laying breadcrumbs that are going to pay off 3-4 episodes from now?
For Ghostbusters, whatever it is. What's the next Ghost? Because there's one in the mix, isn't there? There's one in the works.
Is there another Ghostbusters coming out?
There was a Paul Rudd one, wasn't there?
Yeah, I saw that recently.
Was it good?
It was all right.
It
was okay.
Is that out?
It wasn't, amazing.
No.
There hasn't been a This Reminds Me Of.
No, there really hasn't.
No.
Yeah. We skipped that one. In fact, sometimes it kills me how many films we skip. We just can't get to them. But
I actually wondered. I mean, I had to move heaven and earth to see Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I basically took a day off work.
Yeah.
But I had to do it.
We appreciate it.
I said to my wife, I have to go. I mean, I've got to meet the guys and talk about it. So,
Awesome.
We've had many similar conversations with our wives.
Yeah, no doubt.
And we've...
You know what? Before we go, I was telling the doc. Sorry, getting late here. I was telling Doc about when I was listening to you guys on the Batman episode. I mean, I had so many things I wanted to chime in.
I bet you did.
And I was screaming at the thing.
I bet you did.
I was like, read this comic. You don't get it,
Yeah.
man.
I think that
It was a great episode. It was.
There were frustrations at what we were missing.
Yes. I bet. And also we were getting directors of previous Batman films wrong. We were getting the names of them wrong.
That's the
we were
charm.
getting the actors of them wrong.
Yeah. And asking rhetorical questions, which I knew the answers to.
Yes.
I was like, oh, man.
Yes. Absolutely.
But you did well. You did very well.
Well, I'm hoping the next time we do a superhero movie, look, I'm not saying that I'm looking forward to the next superhero. I think we need a break from them, to be honest. But the next one, I'd love if Mike Barry could come back from Sydney to chaperone us on the journey.
Well, I'll keep it in mind.
And
that was not a commitment.
Yeah, that wasn't. He'll
keep it in mind.
He'll see how this one turns out. Good luck with this.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm excited to see you again tomorrow.
Yes, bring it on.
It's going to be great.
You bet, man.
Yeah.
Agree.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Mm-hmm. My pleasure.
Thanks, Mike.